Woo. Just walked outside. It's just freezing. I don't have really much to say right now other than holy smokes. It is cold. I think it's like 20 something degrees right now. Thank goodness this is a short walk over to the gym. But anyway, I'll see you guys inside. Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I have another workout video for you. We are going to be doing a biceps workout. We're going to be doing some abs and we're going to be doing some legs. As always, I have provided the workout overview for you at the beginning of the video so that you can see all the exercises that I'm doing and the number of sets that I'm doing. Also, if you see something that you like, you should be able to find the names of the exercises. They're all very close to something that you should be able to Google and find. I've tried to be pretty accurate with the names of these exercises and try, because some of them are a little bit different than you might be usually seeing. So I've tried to go and do some research and find the names of them. Before I jump into the current exercise that we're doing, I just wanted to say that I am recording this on a different microphone, still using my phone, a Google Pixel phone. Google Pixel 6a, but I am using my wireless mic that I have purchased to try and see if this makes this better. I don't know if it's going to make it better for the voiceover work because the phone is actually pretty good when you're pretty close to it doing voiceover stuff, but we will see if this makes it any better or not. I know it definitely makes it better when I'm using it at the gym and I don't have to be standing near the phone. So that's something that you'll see in an upcoming video that should fix some of any volume problems. I've been able to kind of edit some of the volume on my own to try to make it a little bit better so you can be able to hear me when I'm in the gym. But again, I do have a new microphone that I'm using, just a little wireless microphone that plugs into the phone and you just clip on your shirt. So that should make things better in future videos that I'm recording now. Also just testing it just to see how well it works. So we will see. Okay, so we are into the first exercise here. We are doing the preacher curl, the machine preacher curl. This is a good exercise if you have it at your gym. Usually most gyms will have this machine in some form. They even have free weight versions of them. I haven't been doing this too long. I would say maybe a month, maybe just over a month. So not too long, but I just added in. I've always seen it and I've just hadn't done it in a while because I usually do some free weight stuff instead. But I thought I'd start throwing this one in there. Today's a little bit of an overlap because we kind of have some kind of overlapping exercises, but it's no big deal. You know, you're hitting the biceps. It's you don't have to go too crazy. I mean, I like to switch up my exercises, so that's why I'm getting a little bit of overlap. But I do like the machine for the most part. It's a good machine. It's definitely good for if you're a beginner or something like that, and maybe you're a little bit more intimidated by the free weights, you can get on one of these machines. Usually they have the directions there for you, so it is good for that. I did 3 sets of this, and again, just a pretty solid machine. This is how I started my workout. Now, my workout got a little bit mixed around. Normally, I would superset this with another exercise, so I'd move from this exercise directly into another one. However, I forgot. And what I ended up doing was putting it, you'll see it later on in the video, but I do put it just at a different spot. I think I put it during my last bicep exercise. So you will see it there. But yep, preacher curl, nothing fancy here. You know, make sure you get the seat adjusted for you. Try to lock your arm in if you can. You can see that I put my hand up against I try to lean a little bit more forward and I put my hand up against the pad there to stabilize myself, but nothing special. But feel free to give it a try at your gym if you have it. You know, even if you've been doing, but maybe you want to switch it up and use a machine. Maybe you're pressed for time. That's kind of why I like using it. If I'm kind of pressed for time, it's easy. There's not a lot of setup to it. You just get in it and do it. So other than that, that's it. Also, I forgot to mention that I am doing a one arm preacher curl. I prefer doing one arm stuff or one leg stuff if I can do it. It's just I like to isolate the muscle group, that side of your body. That's me personally. I tend to have a little bit more imbalance. So when I can isolate something, I I usually choose to. Not everything, not every single thing that I do, but usually with some of this accessory stuff, like, arms and such, I will do that if I can. Even some of the leg stuff, I like separating out if you can. So that's just me personally. And also a quick tip, especially with using this machine, the preacher curl, because if you're lifting a lot of weight, because your arms are at such a stretch when you lift this bar, you do want to be careful. So because I'm doing one arm, you don't see me lift that bar up with just the one arm, because I've seen some terrifying videos of people like popping their biceps and stuff like that. And it usually tends to happen when you're in a very, like, a deep stretch and you have a lot of load on that muscle and you try to pull it up. So I definitely recommend, especially if you're doing this with one arm, to use both. You're obviously going to be using less weight, but use both hands or both biceps to bring that bar up and then start your work. And then the same thing from when you're letting it down. It tends to be what I've seen is when people are at that kind of extreme stretch with a lot of load that the body part can't handle. So that's just a little FYI from something I've seen. I don't know how often it happens, or if it's just, something that you just see on YouTube that just kind of freak accident that happens. But that's one of those things that try to eliminate that extreme stretch under extreme tension is my thought about it. So that's why I tend to use both hands or both biceps to pull that bar up, and then I start, and then when I'm done, I bring it down with both, just to kind of protect that muscle. Okay, that for this biceps set, we did three plates and the half plate on top, so 3.5. And then on the last set that I did, you could see that I did, I failed somewhere around like 12. Yeah, it was 12. And I did two extra reps with just taking the half plate off. All right, moving along to our first ab exercise. Again, not as much an ab exercise. You've seen me do this before. If you're new to the channel, obviously you haven't. And there's only 3 videos out, so it's not like there's a lot of videos to choose from. But anyway, this is the ATG reverse squat. Now I'm doing this with a resistance band. This is not how he does it, but this is what I have access to, how I've kind of modified the exercise to work for me so that I can actually do it. Again, not so much of an ab exercise as a kind of ab and more hip flexor work, but it will work your abs. I definitely notice this when I am coming back from when I like start a new rotation and working out, you definitely feel it in your abs. So you will feel it in your abs if you keep them tight and contracted. But again, this is a little bit more hip flexor work. This is what I like to do. Again, for me, it really does hit kind of both. I suggest that you give it a try. I think it's actually a really good exercise. Setting, if you have a cable machine, I know there's like an attachment that you can buy for it and you can get in and do it. You'd want to check out, the Knees Over Toes guys website or social media stuff to kind of get more information about it. Again, this is how I've modified it to work for me. It's not perfect, but I think I get a lot of the benefits out of it. Give it a try. You might like it. You might not. If not, what's the worst thing that can happen? You don't do it again. Also, at the end of this exercise, I like to do a little bit of a stretch here, a little hamstring stretch, and using the band that sometimes can help, especially when you're holding it. It can provide that pull that you need to kind of get a little bit deeper of a stretch, which is nice. Now, don't bother me about this, but I am not the most flexible person. So, obviously I'm not stretching that far. Like I said, I'm not that flexible, so get over it. Okay, into our next exercise. I have this listed as a dumbbell one arm incline curl with resistance band. I probably should have put standing because I obviously am standing, but you could also do this sitting. I know there's a very similar name to this for sitting. Now, I will go over kind of how I set this up at the end of this exercise because you will see me go into a little bit more depth how I put the band and such like that. Now, I left some of this footage in here. You can kind of see me, kind of struggling with the exercise a little bit. It is not the easiest to set up, or it takes some fiddling to figure out. I've kind of left that footage in so you can kind of see that I did mess with it. I do really like this exercise. It can be a pain and can take sometimes more time than it's worth setting it up. So again, you don't have to do this. I don't have other than the preacher bench, I don't, that's the only, other than the preacher machine curl, I don't have like the free weight version. So I kind of like doing this one with the bench. It's a little bit of a deeper angle, so that's why I like it. And I've really enjoyed adding some of the band work into some of these exercises to provide that nice, the really, what I think is nice is a constant, the tension. Now you're going to have to lower the weight to do this, but again, it is kind of a pain. I'll go over it at the end of the video. You don't have to do it this way. This is something that I've adopted over the last couple of months is, transitioning some of these exercises to add the band into it. But again, I really like it. I think that you would enjoy it if you give it a try. I've seen a couple more things where people are adding, some bands into some of these, more routine workouts. Again, it mimics kind of like that cable machine. If you have a cable machine, that's great. I do not have a cable machine where I can do this. Thus why I kind of moved to some of these exercises or adopting some of these exercises. If I had a cable machine, my life would be a lot easier. I have a little bit of where I can kind of maneuver my back extension machine around using that with the back and the row machine to kind of fiddle around some workouts to use that in maybe a little bit different ways. But again, it is what it is. And I'll explain, the setup of this, but you can see like I'm messing with it I'm messing with it now because it's just, for some reason in this workout, I was just having a hard time. The big thing that I talk about is that, you really it's really tailoring or getting into the sweet spot of where the resistance is, having resistance throughout the whole range, which is kind of hard to do when you're setting this up. So that's kind of some of the trick to it. But like I said, I'll go over it at the end of the video for you. Or not the end of the video, but at the end of the exercise, sorry. Now, this middle exercise for me on bicep day usually tends to move around. I usually tend to change it. I usually tend to change this exercise. Sorry, like I could hear Cleo. She just got up and was shaking. It threw me off for a second. I'm not re-recording it for that. But I do tend to change this one. And sometimes I'll change around the last exercise. It just depends. Like there's a lot of really good movements out there. And me personally, I don't have a problem changing things around. I do kind of like some of the variety. That's me personal. Like if you want to stick with one exercise for a while, especially if you're a beginner, stick with, pick a couple exercises that you like. Or if you have something you don't like, maybe try something new. It really depends on how you want to set this up for yourself. Again, I tend to do a little bit more switching of some exercises, but that's me personally. I just tend to like a lot of different exercises, or it's not so much, and it's also the feeling. If you do an exercise and you get a really good feeling or a really good contraction in it where you can really squeeze the muscle, stick with that exercise. If you can really feel it, I think that's important.
I feel lonely by your side in the middle of the night. I feel lonely by your side in the middle of the night. I'm standing in the dark. I'm listening to you, and all I feel is love. Aggressive vibes consuming me. I'm falling just for you. It's all I get. 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 So consume your side. In the middle of the night, I feel lonely by your side. In the middle of the light, I'm standing in the dark. I'm listening.
Okay, so I know that this looks pretty complex. You do not have to do all this. This is, just something different that I do, that I've adopted. I haven't been doing it, super long, maybe a couple months, maybe a little bit longer, but I really like it. However, this one to set up is a pain, as you probably saw in the earlier parts, just because this band moves around. So I have been trying to figure this out. Actually, that last one that I did actually worked out really well. I adjusted it so that this is tucked in behind that. As you can see, it was like this before, and it moves around a lot. So when I tucked one of these back here, it actually helped keep it stable and keep the tension in the proper spot. If you're setting this on your own, that's really what you need to find, is the tension that works for you to get the full range of movement. It's hard to find. Like in the earlier part, the bottom part was very loose, but that was about right for tension. And this is not an easy exercise to do when you add in this resistance band. But that's kind of the trick. Is it takes some. I mean, I've been fiddling around with it for a while. I still do it because I like it, but it can be, as you saw earlier, kind of a pain to deal with. But I really do like adding the bands into some of these movements. And you can see that this is just how this band was done. I have a knot tied in it, but if anybody's interested, maybe I'll make a video on it separately about setting this up now that I've kind of figured out. But it might vary for everybody based on the equipment that you're using. And then for that last set was 15 pound dumbbell, and then a couple finished with the 10-pound dumbbell. Okay, we are here at another ab exercise. This is called I believe it's the hands back raises. Excuse me, that's what I have listed as. It took me forever to find the name of that. I don't even think it is an athlete exercise. I'm not sure if he even had created a name. I don't know if he created this or not. It's kind of like the knee ups that you would do, except what you're really trying to do is really bring your pelvis up to really engage the lower abs. If you cross your legs over like I do, this is something that will make it a little bit harder for you. And that's one of his suggestions. These are some from his newer videos. And I think he did like a 6-minute workout, and this was in it. Not this exact way with the legs crossed, but he does this that's how I grabbed the name of it. But that's what this exercise is. Give it a try, see if you like it. This is one that I'm okay at. I struggle with a little bit. Sometimes this bothers my back a little bit. Just, I don't know why. Like I think when I can't remember if it was this time or another time I was doing it, kind of aggravated my back, and I don't know why. But I did it recently and didn't have any problems. Again, sometimes it's tougher than others, but I do enjoy it. But really what you're trying to do is make sure to really think about bringing your knees, up toward your forehead to really, maximize, to lift that pelvis and really try to maximize the lower ab engagement.
And all I feel is love. Aggressive vibes consuming me. I'm falling just for you. It's all again. 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 So consume me.
For our next exercise, this was a superset type deal. And that was, like I said earlier on in the video, is that because I forgot to do this after the first exercise. So I put it here. Now, when I was recording this, I forgot to record the first set of the first exercise. So I didn't actually get the strict standing dumbbell curls. So now you're seeing the superset part of it, which is the cable hammer curls that I'm using with the rope extension. But yeah, I totally forgot to record it. I ended up hitting like the camera take a picture button instead. I don't know what happened. It's just one of those things that happens sometimes. So that's why I'm missing that footage, but no big deal. Like it all got done in the end. So, don't grill me too hard about it. But yeah, you know, again, that standing, I switch this out as well. Sometimes this third exercise, not always, but I will maneuver these around just because, like I said just a second ago, is that I do like some of the variety. There's just a lot of movements that I like. So, but we do the standing strict curls, and then I think I need to work on my form a little bit. I was watching a video from Athlete X earlier, and I think he was talking about like you want like 3 points of engagement, like your head to be touching the wall, your back, and then like your butt. Like the rest of it doesn't really matter so much. And then we go into the hammer curls using the rope extension on a cable machine. Now, obviously, this isn't a standard cable machine because this is using the back row part of this fitness station, I guess, or back station, as you will, that uses cables. That's why I'm laying down on this bench in kind of like a weird way. Is again, I'm trying to make an exercise fit into using cables that is what I have at my gym. And it works pretty good. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it does a pretty good job. Especially I like if I can superset something to use like a cable or something that's a little faster to set up or to move between. So that's nice, but I do like I do like that exercise. It's and I might switch that out with something else. It just depends on what I want to do that day. But that's why it just looks a little bit funny, and that's why I'm laying down so that But in the end, it's still pretty much hitting the same muscle group. We're still working biceps. It's nothing funny, even though I'm on the back station, so no big deal. I was doing the dumbbells over there. I started with 25s, and then it was a little bit harder than I was thinking it was going to be. I just can't remember. It's hard to keep track of the weights, thus the videos, why I'm even doing this. So I started with 25s, moved to 20s, and with 15. So the last set was 20-pound dumbbells, and then finishing off with the 15s. The worst part about that exercise is carrying that stuff over there and then having to put away your weights. For our leg work today, we are going to be doing the ATG Split Squat. I had to pronounce that like multiple times to get this correct. What a pain. I don't know why I couldn't say split squat. Anyway, so we're doing the ATG Split Squat. This is the knees over toes exercise. You might be getting tired of me saying Athlete X and knees over toes, but I've tried to pick exercises that I really like from them that really add some benefit. This is definitely one of them. He definitely preaches about this exercise quite a bit. The Now, when I first started this exercise, you're seeing this as I've kind of progressed with the exercise a little bit. Still not to where obviously I want to be, still working on it, and I'm slowly, progressing through it. You can see I am using a step on this one. This is the smallest step that I have. I think I started with both of the other steps behind me, that blue and that, I guess, turquoise, the lighter blue or lighter, yeah, I think it's like turquoise color step, and then I started taking them away, and now I am to here. The biggest challenge that I find with this for me is because I have such a lack of flexibility. This is something I really need to work on, is my flexibility. Uh, it's in that like back leg for me, is the stretching. So that's where I tend to find some of my limiting factor here. It's getting a little bit better. That's why I do that one kind of weird stretch on the bench with the weird red little thing that I use. Um, so that kind of helps with that, to kind of move that. That's not what it's in. That's not the stretch that it's intended. I'm not trying to stretch that part of my. I'm trying to stretch something else, like on the side, like in the hip area. But this is just another good one that I really do like going. I used to do split squats where you just hook your foot to the back of the bench. So I used to do those with some weight, and those were good too. I just moved to doing this because I do believe in some of his stuff that he's talking about with getting your knees over your toes and really, working these muscle groups in certain ways. So you can see that your foot does cut. I don't have quite as much ankle mobility as I would like yet. So that's something that has to be developed over. It's going to take me some time to develop it. So, excuse me, to develop it. God, I don't know how many times I got to freaking say that. What a pain. But he will also use, I know he makes a little like a, almost kind of like a door stopper looking type thing that you would slide under your foot. So they do have those where you could, to put your foot under and keep that heel elevated, because it becomes a little bit easier, especially if you have that support. I don't have it, so I just kind of work without it here. So it's no big deal if if your heel comes up, not a big deal. But I do, again, I like the exercise, you know, do it too. You kind of have to, some of these things that you do are just going to have to feel out on your own. Like there's no, I'd suggest that you watch his video first, to get a good understanding of the exercise, explanation of it deeper than what I can provide here. He goes into more, he goes more in depth about what the exercise is, kind of how he came about it and why he's doing it and such. But I suggest you highly check out that or his channel, Knees Over Toes Guy, or you can probably just research or Google ATG Split Squat, and you'll get a bunch of different videos about it. So, but I suggest if you're somebody who's doing squats or has done squats, not squats, but what is it called? The one-legged things. I don't even know the names of the exercises that I'm going to. The split squats. I don't even know. I'm talking about the dang exercise that I'm doing, and I can't even remember the names. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on. But if you're somebody who has done split squats, I suggest you maybe give this variation a try, or maybe take a look at some of his principles and what he's talking about. I think it makes sense. So I've adapted it. I've been enjoying using some of these, and you can see form's not the greatest. It's not terrible. I can maybe stay up a little bit straighter. It's that back leg that I really kind of struggle with the most, and it's as you start to come down, it's that the separating and the flex of the, I guess not the, I don't know what it would be called, but I guess the flexibility between the two of those, it's a little tight in there for me, so it makes it a little bit harder. I got to bend my knee a little bit more, not keep it as straight as I would like, keep that back leg as straight as I would like. But again, it's going to take some time for me. Everybody is at different spots in their, exercise journey, we'll call it, or the capacity of their fitness level. So everyone's different, that doesn't mean you have to shy away from an exercise, which is what I really like about the Knees Over Toes Guy, because he does talk a lot about, one of his big, he always uses his mom as an example, or he's used his dad, starting with like very, very basic, bare minimum, like no weight, like super modified, just to get them to do it. and then slowly building on that every single time that they do it. So you don't have to shy away from some of these things. If you want to give them a try, like give them a try. But again, arm yourself with some of the information, have an understanding of how to do it. My form is obviously not going to be as good as his, but I'm trying and I'm trying to make progress. I think I've gotten a lot better, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to remove the step, and then that would be the next thing is removing the step and then getting comfortable with that. The other thing that you want to make sure is that you really don't really want to have any pain. I get a little bit of I get clicking and stuff in my knees just because I have bad knees, like I've said before, but I don't really have any pain doing this. So just be mindful of that. If you get too much pain, or just be mindful of any pain that you get when doing this, because you are going pretty far, again, knees over toes. So that's the principle behind this. But you can use those steps or elevate your foot to help with that issue. And for our final ab exercise, we are going to be doing the side laying knee to elbow crunch. That was the name that I could come up with after doing some research. Again, I've added in a resistance band to the exercise, targeting a little bit more of the side here. Maybe a little bit of obliques here. It's When I use the band, I feel this exercise a lot more. But that's just me. I've been doing the exercise for a decent amount of time. I always usually have it on this day, in this part of the exercise, part of this workout. So it's usually after split squats that I do this. But I do feel this, so that's why I keep it in, because it's one of those exercises that I can feel. So I like continuing to do it, and that's why I have it in my routine. I do try to make sure, I do definitely try to not just like turn your elbow towards your knee. I try to get my shoulder up off the trying to get up off the ground to really try to get a crunch into there. So, but that's really, it's not a super hard exercise. Like I said, you don't have to start with the band, but you can, once you become a little bit more advanced, you can add the band if you choose. I find it useful to use these bands with some of these exercises that you kind of start to hit a point where you're like, I don't want to have to do, 40, 30, 40 reps to really start to feel it. So I think for me, this helps with that. And, adding resistance is going to help build some of that core work. That doesn't mean you're going to see your abs because you're, adding more weight or resistance to the exercise. Just means you're probably going to strengthen your core a little bit more. We are into the last bit of leg work that I have here in the exercise. So we are going to be doing a superset here. We're going to be doing some glute work, and then we're going to be doing some hamstring work. So the two exercises are the first one's going to be the standing glute kickback that I'm currently doing, and then we're going to move into the Nordic hamstring curl, which is a very tough exercise, which I say at the end of the video. But yeah, we're doing the kickbacks here. I'm using a resistance band. Now I just started doing some of this. I think I've only done this maybe 2 times now with this particular exercise, the glute kickbacks. Maybe I need a different one of the other like shorter bands. I think you can get a shorter band that you do around your like your quads and such to do this. But this is what I've got, so this is what I'm using. I might need to change my form. I think something I saw that said that maybe like my toe should be pointed like more toward like more towards like the wall or something like that. I'm gonna have to double check. I think there's some tweaking on my form that I need to do. I didn't think overall it was terrible, but obviously you can see I'm like kind of reaching back there, kind of pressing against, my butt or whatever to make sure that I can feel the exercise. I need to do glute and hamstring work is something that is definitely lagging for me. So that's why I've kind of been doing it this way and putting it in here, because it's something that I need to do, and it's important. It's definitely, I guess you could call it an imbalance of mine where, and I think most people are probably a little bit more quad dominant than, hamstring and glute dominant. So, but, who knows? But for me, I've realized that this is lagging behind for me and I needed to address it. So this is kind of how I'm doing it. And then we moved into we already did a set of the Nordics, a very tough exercise, as I keep saying. It's, that's something I got from Knees Over Toes, ATG. He really likes them. Very, they're not a really beginner exercise. If you're a beginner and you want to try it, go ahead. It's going to take a little bit of setup work. I definitely, again, as I always say, do some research, get an idea of how to do it. Took me a while to find out how to even set it up for me. Just do it at my gym. I'm obviously using the back machine, the pads that would normally hold your knees down, and then I've added another bench. You really want to work on the way I do it, kind of the way he does it, which is I'm coming down really slow. So really working on that eccentric. And then I kind of push off to kind of come up, though I do try to still kind of curl with my hamstrings here. You can see I'm trying to go down as slow as I can, really fight it. And then I kind of push off, and then I try to let my hamstrings come back in. You don't need to do a lot of these, from my understanding. Like, I'm only doing like 6. You don't need to do a crazy amount of these. I guess you could do more if you want. In a perfect world, if you ever see them do it or how they like to do, because it takes a very long time to build up the strength to be able to do this exercise and be able to have such strong hamstrings. They fight it like all the way to come down all the way in a controlled manner and then explode up. So it's pretty amazing to see. And I had never tried it until like maybe 2 months ago or something. I started doing this. So it is as hard as they make it out to be. So I wouldn't say the most a beginner thing, but hey, you know what? Maybe maybe you're an athlete or something like that, or maybe you just want to try it. Like, go for it. Like I said, but have the information, kind of have an idea of what you're going to do. If you give it a try, I don't want you to hurt yourself, but feel free to give it a try. Check it out. It's definitely a very, very good exercise. I have it as part of my routine. It never used to be in my routine, and I have found that it has helped me really strengthen my hamstrings, even just this little bit of extra work. Hopefully I can bring the glutes up too, because that's something that I'm really lagging behind up, and I am having a hard time finding some good glute exercises. So may change, may not. We got the exercise bike to finish it off. You can see that going in the background, but that is going to be it for the workout. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I always say, maybe you picked something up from it. I hope you did. I hope this video finds somebody and they can get something out of it. But that's going to be it for the workout. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you guys the next That is a hard exercise. Not a beginner exercise. At least in this capacity, there are ways to do it. Man, that's hard. All right, it's another workout finished up. Thought I'd come sit down in the clubhouse real quick. Pretty good workout, pretty decent. Actually, just trying to move at a pretty quick pace. Trying not to take too much rest period. I got caught up in the house like usual. Trying to edit that first video to get it published. Just so many little things to do to get it up there. Just still running into so many roadblocks for no reason, but it's coming along. So I got in here later like usual this rotation than I really wanted to. So that's okay. The only problem that it really causes is sometimes you run into somebody. Usually I'm in here, I try to do this by myself so that I have pretty much free use of the gym. And I don't really have to worry about, any problems with recording or anything like that for people. Just makes it a little bit more convenient, I think. I feel super uncomfortable just recording to begin with, so I don't know how people feel about it, but it doesn't, I guess it's neither here. There was that same guy who came in, was here last time. He likes that gum, man. He likes to chew that gum, but hey, whatever. I waved to him. I said hi, good morning. He just kind of, acknowledged me. Thumbs up if you're introvert. Hey, I'm as introverted as it can be. So this whole thing is like way outside my normal territory. But yeah, thumbs up for the introverts, because I am very much an introvert. So I totally understand. He probably just wants to go in. He comes in for comes in and goes about his business. That's all I'm gonna say, which is completely cool with me. He didn't seem to mind what I was doing, and that works for me. So anyway, that's it for tonight. Getting close to finishing this rotation. We got another cardio and another our last workout, a shoulders and some squats and some abs. So we'll finish that out and get ready to enjoy Christmas here, enjoy the holiday. So that's it for me. Gonna head back to the house. It is I'm gonna freeze as soon as I walk outside that door. Even worse when I go to walk my dog. So I'll go outside and freeze, make something to eat. Hopefully I fixed the problem that I was working on at the house, and head to bed and do the cardio tomorrow. Just keep trucking along, keep going. So that's what it is. Keep staying consistent. So I'll see you guys in the next video.